Thank you, Sheriff. Y'all may be seated. Sir, as you have a seat, I'll remind you, as I do with every witness when we break in the middle of their testimony, you're still under the same oath that I gave to you previously. Ms. Madsen, this was your witness on cross-examination. You may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer Lickwar, when the jury exited, we were at 11 minutes, 9 seconds on the body-worn camera. I'm going to go to 16 minutes, 21, which would be around the time the state went when they had you, okay?
All right.
Okay, who's that right there?
Directly in front of me is Sergeant Miles.
And who is to his left?
On the right side of the screen is Officer Evans.
Is this the point where you were holding the evidence bag and were going to put the gun in it? Do you remember that?
I believe so.
Here, let's drop the magazine.
Glad I didn't go up to him. I usually be on the phone like I'll use it.
Who do we hear speaking there?
That's the reporting person.
The person that called 911?
Correct.
And he's saying, man, I'm glad I didn't go up to that car. Normally I would have.
Correct.
Walk over there, this time I have to go for some life. Do I hear everything you done? I'm going to talk to this. I saw him. Okay, but when everything happened, you got
Do you hear Officer Evans telling that sergeant how she found the gun?
Yes.
At the time, did you remember hearing that?
I don't remember it, no ma'am.
Essentially, what you were doing was sealing the evidence bag with the gun and the magazine and writing all the appropriate information on it, correct?
That's done at the property room, but yes. I was just rolling it up so nothing would fall out. But
To seal it?
at the property room, it's sealed with a heat seal and it melts the bag completely shut.
Okay. Do you hear what she says of how she found that gun? Can you tell what she says there?
I couldn't make it out from the video, no ma'am.
If you'll step down for me again. When that vehicle turned on, show this jury where you were standing. The stolen vehicle.
When it turned on, I was between the Astro van and the squad car.
And you've told this jury that you did not feel in danger at that moment, correct?
Correct.
Is it fair to say that your position is fairly safe,
Yes.
but you're still keeping your focus on the car?
Yes.
Where are the other officers that you're aware of?
The ones I'm aware of, I believe Hess is on the driver's side of the squad car, and officers Kalish and Evans are on the right side, the passenger side with me.
If officers had been directly behind this car, would they have been in danger?
Yes.
Would they have been in danger in the moment that the car rammed into the fence?
Not in that moment.
Not in that moment. When the car shifts into reverse, are they in danger?
Yes.
Why?
Because they can get hit by the car.
If they are behind that car when it shifts into reverse, are they in imminent danger?
Yes.
Why?
Because the car's in position to hit them.
If you had believed that officers were behind that car at the moment it shifted into reverse, would you have discharged your firearm?
Speculation.
Only if it's based on things that you observed and perceived with your own mind. Go ahead.
If you had believed that officers were behind that car and you had a line of fire, would you have fired your firearm when the car began to reverse?
Given those circumstances, yes, I believe I would have.
Why?
To protect protect life.
And you would have believed that was reasonable
Yes, ma'am.
and immediately necessary?
Yes, ma'am.
Why?
Because in those circumstances, lives would be in danger, and we are justified in taking life to protect them.
Make sure those officers go home to their family.
Correct.
And at that moment, you did not know where either Hopkins or Kemple was, correct?
Correct.
But if officers had been back there, they would have been in immediate danger.
Yes.
Was that car a deadly weapon?
Yes.
The way it was being used, from the moment it turned on, was it being used as an act of aggression, either to get away or resist arrest?
Yes.
That car, when it was put in reverse and somebody's foot was on the accelerator, was it a deadly weapon?
Yes.
Why?
Because the driver seemed to be operating in complete disregard for where anyone else was outside the vehicle.
Now, I expect you're going to get questions about speed. As it starts to reverse, does it matter how slow it is going?
In relation to hitting a person, I would say no.
Okay, does it matter about space? You talked about the more space, the more time to gather momentum. Does that matter?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you do a mental calculation on, by the time this person pushes their toe down 2 inches, do I have enough time to perceive that is what's happening? That the car is going faster and get out of the way. Which is faster? Is that the kind of calculation that runs through your mind in those kind of situations?
Yes, ma'am. If you're asking what's faster, action is always faster than reaction.
Action's always faster than reaction. The action of putting the foot and pushing it on the accelerator would have been faster than the officer's ability to get out of the way.
I believe so.
The totality of those circumstances, officers back there would have been in imminent danger.
Correct.
And it would have been immediately necessary to make a decision
Yes, ma'am.
based on all of the information that you had in that moment.
Correct.
And you are only going to be held to the information you have in that moment, correct?
That's what we're told.
You can have a seat. Pass the witness.
Mr. Lewis, redirect.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Defense attorney just asked you a bunch of hypotheticals about if you would have seen this and reaction versus reaction. The fact of the matter is, were you aware that there were no officers behind this vehicle at the time the defendant shot the victim?
As I stated before, I couldn't see anyone immediately behind the vehicle.
Correct. And so you also testified on direct that based upon what you saw, what you just said, that you would not have fired. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. And you also said that you were surprised to hear gunshots when the defendant fired because the vehicle was not coming at any officers at that time. You recall saying that?
I recall saying that I would not have fired. I don't remember saying the back half, but again, I didn't see it going towards any officers.
And the fact of the matter is, if these individuals in this vehicle wanted to strike and kill a police officer, they could have floored it, right, and hit one of you guys.
Well, it seemed to us that they were flooring it.
Okay. But looking at the video, we see that that vehicle was moving slowly. Would you agree with that?
It appears that way in the video.
Okay. Would you agree with me that if they wanted to run over a police officer, strike a police officer, they could have done that in that moment?
It's hard to say that.
Okay. The testimony on direct was when the vehicle came back the second time, you could actually see the wheels turn to miss the squad car. Is that right?
Yes.
So they intentionally maneuvered the vehicle in such a way that they did not strike that police car, right?
Yes.
If they wanted to floor the vehicle and strike the police car, they could have done that, right?
Correct.
But they maneuvered it in such a way that they didn't do that.
It was maneuvered in such a way as to pull out of the parking space and clear the space.
Okay. There were some questions from the defense attorney about your focus. And you testified that your focus is always on the vehicle because, in your opinion, at that time, the vehicle was clear, right?
That's what I remember, yes, sir.
Okay, so if you're about to use deadly force, you're not going to scan the area in which you're going to direct that deadly force before you fire?
Well, you're aware of peripherals as best you can, but in the heat of the moment, it's common for officers to get tunnel vision.
Okay, so you're taught, you're trained that deadly force is going to be your last resort. You're only going to use deadly force if there's somebody who's in imminent danger of serious bodily injury or death, correct?
Correct.
And before you use that force, you just testified that you are trained to consider the backdrop, what else is in the area that you're going to direct that deadly force to, is that correct?
To be aware of your target and background, yes, sir.
Correct. And so, you talked about peripheral, using peripheral vision to see what's over there, correct?
Correct.
And you can also turn your head to see what's over there as well, correct? Especially in a situation where you have a slow-moving vehicle like this one.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Not only can you use your peripheral, you can also actually turn your head in the direction that you're going to direct that deadly force to, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so, if you're going to use deadly force, would it not be prudent for an officer to look over to that area to make sure that there's no either an innocent person or even another police officer in that area, correct?
It would be prudent.
Okay. And so, we're talking about if you believe that there are officers behind the vehicle and you're shooting at the vehicle, would you not be shooting in the direction of officers at that point?
You would.
Okay. Started out on cross-examination, the defense attorney said that you told her that the defendant kept somebody from getting killed that night. You remember that?
Yes.
Who are you referring to that he saved their lives by shooting this victim?
I believe strongly that if he hadn't shot when he had, that the vehicle would have continued after reversing the second time, would have turned towards where the squad car was and where we were all positioned, and one of us would have been injured. I have no doubt in my mind.
Okay, but that didn't occur, did it?
Correct.
That's right. And so when we're talking about immediately necessary, it wouldn't be immediately necessary because the vehicle never came towards officers. Is that right?
That's correct, but again, it depends on your definition of immediate. I mean, if somebody has a knife to your throat or is standing across the room holding a knife 30 feet away, I would consider both of those immediate threats.
Okay. Would you consider a knife to the throat being a different situation than a slow-moving vehicle moving away from officers? That's kind of different. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know that you said at the time that you were not aware where officers Hopkins and Kemper were at the time that the shots were fired. Did you come later to learn that there were no officers behind that vehicle at the time that the defendant shot the victim?
I learned that later, yes.
Okay. And how did you learn that information?
I was allowed to watch body cameras before we did a walkthrough with the investigative team of, I believe, Kimple and Hess.
Okay, so you were able to watch video before you gave a walkthrough as well as give a statement, is that right?
Correct.
What's a walkthrough, just for the jury's information?
The investigative team has each officer basically walk through the events as they remember they happened immediately following the event.
And that's with criminal investigators, correct, in a criminal investigation?
Correct.
Okay. And so you were allowed to watch video prior to giving that walkthrough of the statement, is that right?
Yes, sir.
If you're familiar with criminal investigations, is that typical for a witness before they give a statement to watch video or to be given information that they would not otherwise be privy to?
Not as far as I know.
Okay. Going back to prior to the vehicle starting, the defense attorney asked you about the siren and the horn blast and pulling up the vehicle. That all occurred prior to Christopher Hess, another officer on scene, stating that they're in there and they're sleeping, correct?
I'm sorry, what occurred prior to?
So the defense attorney asked you about the defendant pulling the squad car into the scene.
Yes.
And activating the siren and the horn. You remember that?
Yes.
That was prior to Officer Alish looking into the vehicle and stating that the vehicle was occupied and they're sleeping.
Correct.
So is it possible that there was no response because they were sleeping, correct?
It's possible.
Okay.
However, we gave verbal commands loudly throughout the entire ordeal.
Sure, I was just referring to the horn and the siren that she mentioned.
Okay.
It was after the fact that Officer Alish said that they're sleeping, correct?
Well, I don't know what Alish saw. I believe he said they were sleeping on my video, but I don't know that he could have confirmed that based on the fact that we couldn't see in the windows at all.
Okay. Are you trained to shoot, to use deadly force if there's probably danger? Is that how you're trained?
When we're trained to shoot, it's not to kill, it's to stop a threat.
Correct. My question is with regard to the potential of danger. Are you trained to shoot if there is possibly danger? To use deadly force, that's something that might kill someone.
Given the circumstances, yes.
Okay. You're trained to kill somebody on probably.
Again, not kill, stop the threat.
I'm going to show you just a few seconds of your video, and this pertains to when the vehicle came back and collided with the squad car, okay?
What exhibit number is that, Mr. Luke? 6, 5?
5.
Go ahead.
So the defense attorney may mention that the vehicle revved twice before it struck the squad car. You remember that?
Yes.
Okay. At that point, that's the squad car revving. Is that correct? To pull up?
I couldn't tell.
Let's watch it again. The squad car lurches forward at that point, correct?
The squad car lurches forward then.
As the vehicle is going backwards, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So to state that the vehicle revs twice and ran the squad car would be incorrect based on the video. Would you agree with me on that?
Well, they could have both revved at the same time.
It appears as though when the squad car moves forward, the vehicle hadn't even started moving. Would you agree with me on that?
No, I would not. It looked like the tires could be seen rotating at the same time the squad car moved forward.
All right. Okay. At what point, I know you said multiple times on cross-examination that the vehicle was being used as a weapon, is that right?
Yes.
At what point would you say that that vehicle was being used as a weapon?
I would say when it tried to go in reverse the second time, or actually when it rammed the fence intentionally. If you want to argue that it didn't intentionally hit the squad car this time, it was used as a battering ram to try and take the fence down. And then going in reverse, I would also say it was used as a weapon.
Okay, so I think what the defense attorney was referring to was the vehicle being used as a weapon against a person.
Okay.
Sir, I would object to leading questions and putting words in my mouth.
I'm going to overrule the objection to orient the witness, referring to questions on cross-examination, but don't lead the witness.
Do you understand the question?
Can you repeat it, please?
Yes. when you talked about the vehicle being used as a weapon against the fence, what we're talking about in this case is the vehicle being used against a human being. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And so really, what we're talking about is when the vehicle comes back a second time, you're saying that it's being used as a weapon against a human being at that time, even though there's nobody behind the vehicle.
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
It is, in my opinion, it's viewed as a weapon against a human being because the person's acting with disregard for anyone that could be back there.
Is it possible that she looked back there and didn't see anybody back there, so she backed up? Is that possible?
I suppose it's possible.
Okay. So in that situation, it wouldn't be used as a weapon if she saw that there was nobody back there, correct?
In that situation, correct.
All right, thank you. That's what it should.
Ms. Manson?
Officer Lickwar, are you trained that you're supposed to look at the totality of the circumstances?
That's right.
Everything you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible when they turned on that car, they had already made a plan to escape arrest?
It seemed that way, yes, ma'am.
Speculation on
As long as it's based on the things that you observed.
Your Honor,
Overrule the,
just asked him.
hang on just a second. The objection is overruled.
The DA just asked you what was possible. Let's talk about what was possible. Is it possible that the driver and the passenger decided they didn't want to be arrested for committing crimes? Is it possible?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it possible that as they were reclined in that seat, they made a decision to try to flee?
Correct.
Is it possible that they knew they were surrounded by officers and their only way out was to ram that car out?
I would say more than possible.
Do you say it's likely?
Yes.
Is it possible that when the driver turned on the car, it was to use aggression to get out of this situation?
Yes.
Is it possible that it was to escape an arrest?
Yes.
Is it likely?
Yes.
Is it possible when the driver put the car in reverse, put their foot on the gas pedal and pushed the gas, that they were trying to get out of this situation and avoid arrest?
Yes.
Is it possible that that was a show of aggression?
Yes.
Is it likely?
Yes.
Is it possible that the driver, when they moved the car, after ramming the squad car, took the car, put it in drive, put their foot on the accelerator and pushed, that was a show of aggression?
Yes.
With the totality of the circumstances, did you perceive it as a show of aggression?
Yes.
And I will tell you very clearly, when I was talking about the car revving twice, it's going to be when it goes to that fence. Will you hit play, please? State, will you hit play?
Show your hands now! Put your hands!
You'll pause. Do you hear that car rev as it hits the fence?
Yes.
Do you see that car try to gain momentum as it tries to batter through that fence?
Yes.
Is it possible that they were making the decision to do whatever it takes to avoid arrest that night?
Yes.
Is it possible that the driver, when they realize they can't get through the fence, changed tactics?
Yes.
And is it possible that that driver made a decision, if I can't get through that fence, I'll get through these officers?
I believe so.
Was it likely from the totality of the circumstances?
I believe so.
And at that moment, when that driver ran the fence and could not get through, made a decision to take that car and put it in reverse, correct?
Yes.
And at that moment, when the driver made that decision to put it in reverse, there was another decision to put the foot on the gas pedal and push, correct?
Yes.
And we see that car accelerate as it goes back, correct?
Yes.
And if I can't get through the fence, I can get through these officers. That was reasonable, wasn't it?
Yes, ma'am.
That was reasonable based on the totality of the circumstances and everything that you were observing.
Correct.
And it was likely with everything you were observing.
Correct.
And at that moment, as they were reversing, was it clear that the decision being made with the totality of the circumstances is if we can't get out through that fence, then we will get out through the officers.
I believe so.
And we will use force, whatever is needed, to get out
Yes.
through those officers,
That's what it seemed to
no
us.
matter who gets hurt.
Yes, ma'am.
That was reasonable, wasn't it?
I believe so.
So the totality of the circumstances,
Correct.
adding one decision by the driver after one decision by the driver, correct?
Yes.
And this is all of the information that you were calculating at that moment.
Yes.
And that's why your focus was entirely on that car, correct?
Yes.
Because that car was a threat.
Correct.
Because Genevive Dawes made a decision to make that car a weapon, didn't she?
I believe so.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Lewis?
Just briefly, we talk about possibilities, what's likely, what's not likely. Did you have a conversation with these folks inside this vehicle?
No.
Did you know these folks in this vehicle?
No, sir.
So anything about their mindset, anything about their motive would be purely speculation. Would you?
Based on their actions, yes, sir.
Okay. Would you agree with me that the video speaks for itself in the way that she was maneuvering that vehicle?
I believe so.
Okay. Talking about possibilities, is it possible that there could have been children inside that vehicle that this defendant fired 12 shots into?
It's possible.
And that an innocent person could have been killed?
Yes, sir.
That's an issue.
No further questions?
May this witness be finally excused or subject to recall?
No objection from the defense.
No objection, Mr.
Very good. Sir, you can stand down. You're excused from any further service. Call your next witness, please. Thank you.
State calls Zach Hopkins.
Members of the jury, if you need to stand up and stretch your legs, you certainly can. If you would please come to the front of the courtroom. Before you have a seat on the witness stand, could you please turn and face me and raise your right hand? You swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth? I do. Please have a seat. Responding to questions from Mr. Lewis and perhaps also Ms. Matson, who's to your left. Mr. Lewis, you may proceed whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. Please introduce yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling it for the court's order.
My name is Zach Hopkins, ZACHHOPKINS.
And Mr. Hopkins, how are you employed?
Currently, I'm employed with the Grand Prairie Police Department.
And how long have you been with the Grand Prairie Police Department?
Just over a year.
Prior to joining the Grand Prairie Police Department, did you work with another agency?
I did. I was employed with the Dallas Police Department,
Okay. And how long were you with the Dallas Police Department?
approximately 6.5 years.
What are your current duties with Grand Prairie?
Currently, I'm assigned to patrol, just a sector of the city where I respond to 911 calls, traffic stops, self-initiated activity, just like that.
When did you leave the Dallas Police Department?
January of 2019.
Okay. And when you left, what were your duties with DPD?
Same, it was patrol. I was assigned to the night shift, responding to calls for service.
Were you with Dallas Police Department on January the 18th, 2017?
Yes, I was.
In what capacity?
Patrol officer. That night, myself and my partner, Officer Alish, we were on a special assignment that was responded to shootings, cuttings, prowlers, suspicious activity, stuff like that. That's kind of what our special assignment was.
And what were your hours, your duty hours?
That night, it was 11 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay. Was there a particular part of town that you patrolled, or were you guys?
I was assigned to the Central Patrol Station, East Dallas, Uptown, the M Streets, and Deep Ellum.
Do you recall on January 18, 2017, responding to a call at 4700 East Side at approximately 5 a.m.?
Yes.
And did you have your partner with you with that day?
Yes.
And what was his name?
Officer Chris Alish.
And do you recall what the nature of the call that you got at the location?
I believe it was a suspicious person, and there was a vehicle at the location with the plate, and we ran the plate, and it came back stolen.
Okay. Any information with regards to occupants of the vehicle?
The reporting party believed that there was 2 individuals inside the vehicle.
Okay. And so what you said it was you that ran the plate
That's correct.
and determined that it had been reported stolen?
That's correct.
Okay. And so did you respond to the location?
I did.
Okay. And were any other officers on scene when you arrived at that location?
Myself and Officer Alish were the first 2 on scene.
So what did you do when you got there?
We staged at an intersection nearby, East Side and Fitzhugh. Once Officer Evans and Lickwar got close, then we decided to pull into the complex.
So going back to the stolen vehicle, did you have any specific information about that vehicle? Obviously, you knew in general that it was reported stolen, but any specific information about the vehicle?
No, we just knew the make and model and that it was reported stolen.
Had you ever been to this location before?
I had. I've been there previously on some disturbances, family violence calls.
And so, what did you do with your vehicle when you guys first got to the scene?
While I was the passenger, I told Officer Alish that it was a long driveway and it opened up into the parking lot. So I felt that for us to be safe, that we should park and get out and continue on foot.
Okay, did you do that?
Yes, we did.
Okay. What happened when you got on foot?
We got out on foot. Officer Aaron and Peter showed up. We walked a little bit, located the vehicle in the back left corner of the parking lot.
Okay. And what was the intent at that point? What were you guys going to do?
We were going to try to give commands to see if the vehicle was occupied. If so, take those people into custody.
Were you able to determine initially whether or not there was anyone inside the vehicle at that time?
We were not.
Was there anything obstructing your view, or what caused you not to be able to see inside the vehicle?
It was dark outside. The windows also had condensation on them, so I couldn't see inside the vehicle.
At some point, do other officers respond?
Yes. After the four of us initially responded, Corporal Kemple and Officer Hess responded.
Any reason for that many officers responding to that kind of call?
Well, just due to the nature of being a stolen vehicle, at that time unknown occupants, it's just safer to have more officers there.
So what happens once the defendant and Officer Kemple get there?
I began to give commands to the vehicle. I positioned myself behind a pole, and I began giving verbal commands to the vehicle.
Did you make any statements over the radio as it pertains to what the plan was going to be at that time?
I did not.
At some point, I believe you stated that you guys were going to conduct a felony stop?
Oh, to dispatch? Yes, I did. I did tell dispatch that.
Okay, and why would you decide to do a felony stop in that particular situation?
Well, we just gave verbal commands to the call or to the car. At that point, we didn't know that it was still occupied, but we wanted to at least make our presence known and see if we can get any occupants to tell us if they were inside, come out, something that we knew that they were still inside.
Okay, any response to the commands?
No response.
Okay, what do you do next?
After that, Officer Hess grabbed our squad car. He moved it up closer for a position of cover, and we continued loud hailing. I believe Officer Hess used the siren and horn, and still no response.
Okay. At some point, does someone recognize either movement inside the vehicle or there's actually somebody occupying the vehicle?
That's correct. After we gave commands and got no response, I went up to the rear passenger door and pulled on it, and as I was pulling on it, my partner said that he saw movement inside the vehicle.
What was the purpose of you pulling on the door handle to the vehicle?
See if it was unlocked, see if we could see inside the vehicle.
Yeah. At that time, you were still not aware if the vehicle was occupied, is that correct?
That's correct.
With regard, based upon the information that you had, that you didn't know if there was anybody inside there, and you pulled on the door handle, did you feel safe at that point to do that, or how did you do that in that situation?
I knew it was dangerous, but at the same time, we knew that it was occupied at one point. We didn't know if they were still in there, so had they abandoned the vehicle there, we would have done an inventory and towed the car.
Did you feel the need to rush into the situation to see what was going on, or just trying to understand why you were trying to make entry into the vehicle at that point, not knowing if there's any occupants?
Well, at that point when I first pulled on the door handle, we had given a dozen or so commands with no response. we had the squad car position there, no response. So we couldn't just wait out there to see if somebody came back to the vehicle or not. So at that point, I had made the decision to go up and at least see if we can get a door open to see inside.
Okay. Any success with that?
No, it was locked.
Okay. So what happens at that point?
That's about the time that Officer Alish said he saw movement. More verbal commands were given, and then I took a position behind the vehicle.
Okay. Any response to the commands at that point?
No response at that point.
What happens next?
I believe either when I was first backing up or after the second wave of commands, I pulled on the trunk hatch and then further backed up.
Okay. Why'd you back up at that time?
Because with no response from the vehicle, we knew that it was occupied. In a stolen vehicle situation, it's dangerous. There could be guns and stuff, and we don't want to be just sitting around.
Do you recall Officer Alice specifically stating that the vehicle was occupied and that he saw that they were sleeping inside the vehicle? Do you recall hearing that at that time?
I did not hear that they were sleeping. I just heard that he saw movement.
Okay, but you, I guess, come to learn later on that he did state that on the video that they're sleeping?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so what happens at that point? You know the vehicle was occupied, you back up, what happens next?
The vehicle turned on. I knew that where I was, I needed to get further back. So I retreated back to close to the pole where I initially was.
When the vehicle started, where were you positioned?
Directly behind the vehicle, probably from maybe from here to the bench.
From about
I mean, I don't know, that's
20 feet?
approximately.
Were you aware of where the other officers were positioned?
Officer Kimball was with me, and I believed everybody else was to my right.
Okay. At that point in time that the vehicle started, did you feel like the vehicle was an imminent threat to you, that it might cause serious bodily injury or death?
Yeah, yes, it could.
Okay. So what'd you do?
Vehicle turned on. Officer Hess moved the vehicle up slightly. The vehicle, I remember seeing the SUV or crossover turn the tires, and there was a fence here and there was a fence here. The car was parked right here. There was nowhere for the car to go to the left. However, the wheels were turned to go straight back into the squad car to go to the left. When that happened, I kind of just stayed where I was, and then I remember the vehicle going back forwards into the fence that was there.
At that time, when the vehicle goes forward into the fence, are you fearing for your safety at that point?
When the vehicle's going forward into the fence, no, but I'm trying to find a place to move, because if it can't get to that fence, the only other place is to come back to where I'm standing.
And at some point, the vehicle does come back again, is that right?
That's correct.
So what do you do with that?
I moved prior to it coming back, and kind of in a position to cover sort of near the squad car.
How would you characterize the manner in which you moved from behind the vehicle?
I'm sorry?
How would you characterize the manner in which you moved? Did you dive out of the way?
No, I moved with a purpose, but I didn't, it wasn't just a short walk. I wanted to get out of the way.
Okay. Did the vehicle appear to be coming at you at a high rate of speed?
At the scene, I perceived the video to be going quick.
Okay. But again, you didn't have to jump out of the path of the vehicle?
I did not, no.
It appears on the video as though you just walked to another side of the parking lot.
Well, it wasn't a walk, let me just move out of the way. It was, I need to get out of the way, because if I don't move, a car can go from, 0 to whatever in X amount of seconds. So I didn't want to just stand there and wait for the car to possibly hit me.
As a matter of fact, that's your training, right? In the situation where you have a moving vehicle, you're trained to move out of the path of the vehicle, is that correct?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, shooting into a vehicle in that particular situation is prohibited unless somebody's in danger of serious bodily injury or death. Is that your understanding of the general orders?
Yes, that's correct.
And is that why you decided to move and not to shoot?
Yes, I got out of the way first.
Okay. How about Officer Kemper? Where was he at the time that the vehicle came back the second time?
He was close to me. I do not remember if he was on my left side or right side.
But he moved as well, right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Do you recall the point in time when the defendant started firing at the vehicle?
I had moved, and I was kind of to the passenger side rear of the squad car behind Officer Hess.
So you know you were no longer behind the vehicle at the time the defendant fired shots to that vehicle?
I was not.
Were you looking at the vehicle when the defendant fired shots into the vehicle?
I believe I was, yes.
And why did you fire your weapon at the vehicle?
I did not.
Why not?
Because the vehicle wasn't coming straight towards me anymore, and there were also officers in front of me. So I had to protect myself first to get out of the way, and at that moment, when I moved, I was no longer in danger.
Okay. So you testified that you didn't shoot because the vehicle was not coming towards you, is that correct?
That's correct.
Was the vehicle going towards any other officers at the time the defendant fired shots into the vehicle?
No.
So you stated that another reason that you didn't fire is because there were officers in front of you?
That's correct.
Say that there were no officers in front of you, would you fire at that time?
At the time when I got out of the way, no, I would not have,
And why is that?
because the vehicle was still reversing to an area where I was no longer. It had not gotten in drive, and it was driving towards me.
Judge, can we take a break?
Yes, ma'am.
Real quick?
Members of the jury, if you would please go with the sheriff and await further instructions. All rise for the jurors. Court's in recess. Y'all may be seated. Thank you. I'm not sure. I'll check. I'll let you know in just a second.